Welcome to ToddFun.com. I'm going to review my quadcopter I got for my birthday. It's actually the Millennium Falcon, my favorite show of all time, the Star Wars. You probably saw this if you've seen my hummingbird hunting video where I went chasing hummingbirds with this. That was a lot of fun. No, I didn't get close to the hummingbird. I just mostly had fun with the graphics and editing, shooting them, going pew, 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 and actually chased at them, but those guys are so fast. I usually just like to watch the hummingbirds outside my window by my computer, and so I really enjoy them, so I didn't want to bother them much. So this is the box that this quadcopter comes in. This isn't really an unboxing, but that's what it comes in. And there's a few quirks with this as far as using it and its functionality, so we'll cover that. It is a very good flyer indoors. Don't try it outside. So if you're looking for a Christmas gift, this is a really good gift for around about $100. Lots of fun. It'll fly for several minutes on a charge. More than enough time to have quite a bit of fun. The controls are kind of touchy, but once you start learning them, I'm sure kids that use remote controls all day will have no problem whatsoever. But yeah, if you want to use the link in the show notes below to my Amazon store, then that helps support it helps fund this channel by you buying on Amazon. It doesn't cost you any more, so I appreciate that support. But we'll cover this, seeing it fly around the house here so you know how it works. And then we'll cover some of those concerns that I think you want to know about. And then we'll tear it apart. Yeah, it's going to be in pieces by the end of the video. So let's see it fly. So I got a little bit better lighting for doing a test flight. But let's start off with syncing it, because it's flaky, and if you got young kids, they're not going to get the syncing, and it's a little complicated. You want to make sure you start with the throttle completely down in the down position, and then this has to be on a level, unmoving surface. If this is on a tilt or not, or you're just holding it, it won't sync. It won't see it. So you gotta. I'll just set it over here for now, and it has to be sitting still and level. Then you have to turn on the power. As soon as the power turns on your controller, you'll see it blink, and then you want to turn the power on this, and the lights will come on this. Make sure it's laying someplace flat. And then you'll hear a sound, provided you have the sound on. By the way, I hate the sound on this. I usually leave the sound off because it just makes stupid noises all the time. So, but if you leave the sound on, that gives you a little feedback that you've synced with your Millennium Falcon. So starting that process, you hit the button and kind of hold it for a second, and it'll start to flash. Then you turn on the Falcon. Then you listen for the sound. Okay, that little strange engine sound means it's synced up. And at the same time, you'll notice that the Falcon has got this rear lights on, front lights on, nothing's blinking. So that's a good sign. I'll turn the sound off because I don't like the sound, so I'll leave that off. There are buttons on the front, so you can hit that button, it'll make more sounds. But they're just stupid. They're like, I don't know. This is supposed to be a turbo button on this side, but it doesn't do anything. It's literally ignores it. But for the controls, you have up and down, and then rotate with this, and then this one is go forward, go back, tilt left, tilt right. So basically you got the controls like this and this, this and this. Okay, that's with the right hand control. And then with the left hand control, it's up and down, and actually will rotate in a plane, which makes it easy to redirect. So let's fly it around here and see that, and then we'll go into the bench in the lab to do the rest of the discussion about charging it and stuff. Once it's synced, you can throw it up, it doesn't matter. And when it gets low on juice, it starts to blink like that. That means it's time to charge. So several minutes of a lot of fun just sort of navigating. It's real fun to fly. Real fun. Too bad it's going to be in pieces. Well, what's left will probably still fly. It just won't look like a Millennium Falcon anymore. But let's go to the bench, look at the box, look at the instructions, talk about its little, little problems that you're going to have with it. I've already, it's really robust. You can bang it around a lot, but it still has a few things you want to be concerned with. And then we'll look at the electronics. Ultimately, let's make a second video on tearing it apart, so that we'll see the inside of the controller and what I can decipher from inside of this, and that'll be video 2 on gutting this thing. That way this will just be a review of the product and the unboxing. So we're at the bench to take a look at things. This is basically the business of what you get in the box. You get micro USB, which plugs into this, and this controller charges this. Now this can take 6 AA's, and this can charge this directly without using the micro USB. But to save batteries in your controller, you can hook your micro USB up to the computer, or in what I do is I just use any 5-volt regulated, anything that's a 5-volt regulated USB connector. That way you don't have to go fussing plugging into your computer. You just plug that into a wall. That's what I do. But then when you plug that into here, and this gets kind of convoluted, and you got a little secret door here in the panel which pulls out the charging cable, which goes into the Falcon, and then this can charge this. Now the reason I think they do this is, one, so that you can burn through lots of AA batteries charging your Falcon without having to get a computer or a wall wart involved. Maybe that's good for the kiddies. But really, if you're going to have to plug this thing in and let it sit and charge, it's better to just use this anyway. Unfortunately, you have to plug this into here. Yeah. So it gets kind of busy. This is hooked up to a wall, into here, out of here, and you plug this into here. Now this can go, it's got 2 connectors, or 2 wires, but 4 connectors. And this little piece of socket in there has 4 connectors, which means you can plug it in either direction, completely inverted. So the little kiddies don't have to realize which way that plugs. If it can slide on, it's going to be good to go. To charge, let's say you just charge from here, you want to start with everything turned off and plug it in, and then you push the button and it's going to start charging, and right now it's red saying it's charging, and it'll just sit here and charge, whether it's using its internal batteries or the wall wart or computer. It'll just sit here and charge until that turns green, and when it does, then it just shuts off. Now the Falcon has a 3.7 LiPo battery in it, and what that means is you want to go ahead and make sure it cools off for at least 15 minutes after a flight. So, the kids are a little anxious, but let it cool off for a while after a flight before you plug it in and charge it, because they're LiPos. They're not going to charge when they're hot. And as you can see, it's already turned green, and it was able to top off from the internal batteries simply because it was already charged when I used the wall wart earlier. In the teardown, we're going to do some measurements on how much, what we all see going on inside, but this is just a review. So then you just tuck away your charger when you're done and try and close that. I really wish, I suppose the brains of the charging is in here, and hence that keeps the weight down inside the Falcon. But I would really rather have seen a complete separate charging system where it had the brains in a brick and you could plug in and charge that 3.7 LiPo. Might have to rig something up like that myself, simply because I don't like using this. This is annoying to charge into here and into there, and I might just make up my own little. I might just chop this cable completely off and hook it up to some sort of a custom-made charging circuit that can go into here. But that's for a different video. For taking off and flying, you want to make sure this is in the down position, and then once you launch it, you try and just kind of nudge it up and just let it set wherever it hovers. Once you get it set where it hovers, you don't want to touch this much, other than if you want to rotate the ship, like in this plane, then you just kind of give it a tap just to change the direction of the nose. And then for the most part, you keep your controls over here, and this forward tilts it like this, and then tilts it back, and then tilts it left and tilts it right, and it will actually kind of shuttle sideways with this. But if you want to change the nose, then you flip this over. And it's kind of hard to kind of do that turning of the rotation without affecting the up and down. But that's the goal of flying it. So the controller's hefty. Looks like it's built really well. It's an Air Hog product, but I don't think Air Hog knows anything about this. I think they're just rebranding it because it looks like it's stamped with something called Spin Masters International on everything. So yeah, it does have I don't know if that'll show up on camera, but there's the FCC ID if you want to look it up. Get the radio information on that. Like I say, this makes noise, but it's just annoying noises. This turbo does nothing, but it's sort of like an Xbox controller and feel. And it's built well. It is made in China, but it's made well. I don't know what this is. Does anyone recognize what that is? That's some sort of a thing can go in there and turn and lock. I don't know what you would want to lock in there, but I don't know. If you know, let me know. And then this is just for the sound. I think I already said that. So we'll worry about the rest of what's inside and what frequencies it uses and stuff like that in the teardown. What's interesting about this, the Falcon itself? Well, it's the quadcopter, and like quadcopters are, 2 blades rotate in one direction and 2 blades rotate in the other direction. So that helps counter the balancing. And it's going to have gyro chip inside that helps it understand how to balance, and that allows you to do the controls. And of course it's going to have, you know, that self-piloting, leveling, flying kind of software in it. So that'd be interesting to see what's actually inside. I doubt I'll get it apart in the teardown cleanly, but I will try. So it's ducted fanned. Okay, so this is important. If you look at the bottom, you'll notice that the edge is perfectly crisp and smooth. There's no curve on the bottoms. Yet on the top, there's curves. Now that's called ducted fanning. And if you look up a little bit of aviation flight controls and stuff, you'll find out that this ducting, this curvature, actually provides lift for this. Ducted fans don't usually fly too terribly well unless they have a lot of power. I mean, fan lifting doesn't work unless there's a tremendous amount of power, and they're not very efficient. So to increase on the efficiency, they put these curved surfaces. And just like a curved surface on a wing, as the air gets sucked into the fan and goes down, it goes over a curved area and produces low pressure around the circles. And then that actually produces more lift. So you're actually getting lift from the fan sucking air down, but as side air goes in, it produces lift like a curved wing. And that way you get a lot longer flight with this. Which means, unfortunately, when I tear this apart, even if I have what's a mechanically functioning quadcopter on a plastic chassis, it will not be very efficient at flying simply because it's going to lose the ducted profile into the fans. It's not the hole that does it, it's the fact that the air has to go in the hole and go over those curved edges. So if you actually sanded these edges a little bit more curved here, you might even get a bit more flight time by having a bit more of a curve, because they are kind of sharp right here. Because they did have to make it look like a Falcon nonetheless, right? Now it has front lights that are quite bright and rear blue lights that are quite bright. There's the FCC ID again, if you care to look it up. Very robust. It'll bang around quite a bit. Interesting, you'll notice the motors on the back. This one has red and blue. Get my lighting good. And this one has red and blue, and they turn the same direction. And then this one has white and black, and this one has white and black wires. Yeah, and so these two turn in the same direction. So that's important, because here's one of the things you're going to run into. Even though this is pretty robust, it's going to go under the couch and under the chairs and all over the place, and it's going to pick up hair. And pretty soon you'll find out this thing isn't flying very well. And you might not hear it, but you'll notice it seems to struggle. And what that is hair tangled up inside these rotors. Even a little bit will start messing it up. You can always check by giving them a flick with your finger. If they spin real smooth and keep spinning, then there's probably nothing in them. And what you have to do is you have to grab the bottom, and you don't want to break anything, and really get a hold of that base. And this is one of those quirky things. You got to do this, and then you got to get a hold of the top blade. Don't grab the actual blades themselves, just grab this nose cone, and then just sort of kind of wiggle and pull, and then that will pop off. And then what you'll find in here is hair twisted around the shaft, and you clean the shaft off, and then you line it back up with this little hole, and don't push too far down, just push down until you don't see that metal inside anymore. There's a little bit of a metal, you'll see a line down there where that little bit of metal sticks out. You just want to go down until you can't see that metal sticking out anymore. And that just means you've set your rotor down far enough. And if you put down too far, it'll actually jam up with these plastic struts. You don't want this to jam with the plastic struts. And that will clean them up. Don't mix up the blades because they do rotate a particular direction. Or if you want to remember them, just look at the colors. You know, red and black is going to turn clockwise, and white and black is going to turn counterclockwise. Okay, so just remember that, and you'll get the blades back on correct. This is the charging port. Like I said, it's just a little stick. You just put the thing on either direction. This is the on-off switch. I have hit enough things to break it a little bit, but a little bit of styrofoam glue, which you can get some special styrofoam glue at Michael's, and you could glue that back up. But I've smacked this thing around for about 2 months now, and it's still holding together very strong. Well, that covers the syncing of these two, as well as the charging issues you have to be careful of, as well as the cleaning of the blades and some flight demonstrations. Great flyer, and I'm really impressed that they can make these fly so well and be so controllable. If I were younger, I would actually be flying this thing through little obstacle courses and stuff like that. I'm surprised I haven't done that already. But that's what I would have done. I would have been making obstacle courses with string and stuff, and taping string across my room and seeing if I could fly this thing through a maze of strings. And I would do it until this thing was dead. But there you go, great Christmas gift. Use the show link to buy one. That would be appreciated. And tune in for the next video, which will be, well, we're going to tear apart and see how much of this we can figure out. And what's inside and what it looks like. And hopefully maybe fly it again. I doubt it, but we'll see. So give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and see ya in the teardown.